Meeting of Teaching and Learning, Tuesday, September 13th, 2016. And Evelyn's absent. Debbie and Kim are present. All right, we have a couple of items under old business. First, just additional section requests since our last meeting. I have added one section of ELL, American Lit, at Bremen because those students were in a mixed class with Gen Ed, and we found that their access scores were pretty low, and so we pulled them out into their own self-contained class to be taught by that bilingual teacher. So we've got two separate. The Gen Ed kids are in one, the ELL kids are in another. And then at Bremen, our Introduction to English sections, we had 5. All 5 of them were over the window by a total of 10 students.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we added a section, and now we're good there. Okay, so those are the only 2 that we've added since our last meeting. So far I've used 3 of the 5 sections that you gave me. Okay, next item, the 26th, so this is this year's school calendar. I'm going to recommend an amendment next week for the following reason. State testing this spring is April 5th. Okay, so originally if you look at the red circle in April, the SIP day on the current schedule was April 26th, so we want to move that up to April 5th, which then would be a testing day for our kids. So freshmen and sophomores will take a PSAT. The juniors will take the state SAT with writing. So that'll be a SIP day. Okay. Then if we look at March, so the last week in March we were on spring break. The week before that we didn't have a SIP. The current schedule puts the SIP on March 15th. But because we're going to move up April, that would be too close to the March SIP. So we want to move the March SIP up to the first Wednesday in March. And that way we've got a shortened day, then we have 3 full weeks, then we go on spring break, then we come back for a SIP, and then we're back to full weeks of instruction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, way better than a half day, then come back for a full day, and then spring break.
Exactly.
You lose them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're good with that, that's my recommendation. Okay. All right. Next item, class size review. Okay, so here are the figures by building. This is after the 10-day drop. So the September column is where we're sitting right now. And at Bremen, we're looking really good. Again, we have most of the sections are only over by 1 or 2. We've got 1 class in world language that's over by 3. I believe it's a single section. Honors French 2. Or sorry, we have 2, and then Spanish 1 are the only 2 sections that are over by 3.
So the ones that are over by 3, how many students are in there then?
So we've got the max is 28, and we've got 1 with 31. Both of those were at 31. So 3 kids over, and they're 2 different classes. It's Spanish 1 and Honors French 2.
Okay.
And Honors French 2, it's the only section
Only 1.
that we have, yeah. So you can see at Bremen, if you look at English, last month, 27% of the sections were over because we added that one in particular now, and they have 8% of the classes over.
Okay.
So Bremen is looking pretty good, considering they have 1,460 students this year. They're almost as big as Oak Forest.
Wow. How big of a jump is that from last year?
They were, my section, 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's like 200 and some
Wow.
kids.
Well, maybe the housing market is showing good signs then.
There's lots of multiple families.
Living in houses together.
I have a family down the street from me. They even have set up different doorbells. There's 3 families living in one house, which I thought was against our ordinances.
That
But
sounds like an ordinance violation. Yes.
They were just under 1,400 last year. I thought they were a little less.
Just
but-
under 14.
Yeah, so they're
Okay.
up another 60.
16?
Yep.
I thought they were. Maybe I'm thinking graduation sizes, because I thought they were like 13 something.
That would have been a big jump.
20.
Yeah.
Any concerns with Bremen?
No.
Okay. Tinley. Tinley's looking really good. Again, another world language. We can have a +3. And that one. That was an honor Spanish 2. Got a +3.
Do the teachers say anything about any of this? Are they feeling overwhelmed? Is the class size too much for them?
You know, with world language, it's an interesting department because for the sections that we have over the window, we're also running classes significantly under the window. For example, and I'll explain the reason why. We've got AP French at 10. How do you cancel an AP class? We have Honors French 4 at 13. Okay, so in order to keep those, the teachers know they may take a higher load in some of the lower level classes because you need the lower level classes in order to
get
build
the higher level
the
classes.
upper level classes. So,
Okay. But you're not seeing dips. They're not seeing dips in like performance from the students or anything because class is too big or overwhelmed.
I have not heard that as an issue. Mm-mm.
The math is looking good.
Mm-hmm. Math, we made a concerted effort this year because we've eliminated the topics classes, and we wanted to make sure that kids were successful and the teachers were going to be successful. We kind of lowered the class size, the windows, and we added some more sections than we normally would have. And so across the board at all schools, our math is pretty much within the windows.
Good, because I think our numbers are showing that we need to have some effort in math.
Absolutely. So we make that transition to integrated and
Right.
yeah.
And that too will still take a little while.
Absolutely.
I think.
Absolutely. Hillcrest, we've got one science class at a +4. And that one is an honors biology, and it's the only section that we have.
Now, how is that? I don't know how Hillcrest science labs are. I know the others are pretty much we can't usually go over because of the space. Is that the situation there? Or?
This particular, if I'm a teacher, I think it's Chris Cardinal. Her room is one of the larger ones there. And she's got space. Where's my packaging? Jane. And I think it's in Chris's room. So not only does she have the lab stations down the middle, there's lab rows on the outside. So it's not a matter of cramming more desks in there.
Okay, so they all have a spot to work at then.
Yep. Other than that, Hillcrest looks really good.
Yeah, I'm really happy how we've been able to cut the PEs down too.
Well, that's something we talked about in class sizes, especially the sophomore. The sophomore class was the biggest issue with the driver's ed piece. Of course, again, we have a world language at +3, and that one.
The world language, are those all coming in at the freshman level, or is it more junior, senior, where kids are junior year, they're jumping in to take a language?
Sophomore.
It's usually freshman, sophomore is what
Freshman,
would occur.
sophomore.
Yeah, and again, those singletons too, because depending upon our feeder school, so Tinley and Oak Forest, their feeder programs are stronger than at Bremen and Hillcrest. So most of the time, Bremen and Hillcrest students are starting out at level 1. Tinley and Oak Forest students tend to start out at level 2. So then that just adds more students into that second year.
Right.
So that's where you tend to see a little bit of overage.
Okay. I just think two of the kids that didn't do it freshman and sophomore year, now junior and senior year are coming, and it's like, oh, I got to get my language.
Yeah, and that too, because
Yeah.
again, if they realize, oh, I'm going to a college and they have a world language requirement, then you're right. Now I've got to catch up and take my 2 years. Which also I meant to say too is a reason why we also run those upper level classes, because some kids need that 4-year requirement for college, and so make sure that they finish out
So that they have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then at Oak Forest, we have a +3 in strength and conditioning. And that's the only one that's over in PE. Otherwise, they're looking pretty good too. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with kind of where we're sitting right now. Like I said, we sectioned a little bit looser this year to accommodate the math department and some other courses where we were seeing some trends of overage. So I'm pretty pleased at kind of our work this year. What we talked about last year in class size is we're going to move up our annual class size meeting with the JFA in November instead of doing it in December. And that way we'll look at second semester numbers that if we need sections, we add them in December instead of trying to add them in January after the fact.
When they've already come back and they're in.
Yeah, and then trying to shuffle around.
Move them around, yeah.
Last item I have for you is one overnight field trip request, and this is from Bremen Palms. They would like to at least have it approved in case they achieve and do well in their competitions. They want to go to the United Dance Association Nationals in Orlando, Florida in February. So they will lose 2 days of school that they would actually be leaving on Friday the 3rd and be out Monday the 6th. Cost is anywhere between $900 and $1,000. The kids would have to booster, fundraise for $500 and then pay $500 out of their pocket. So their second tryout is October 24th. And depending on how well they do there's a qualifying contest in November, and then they'll find out if they go on to nationals. So
That's
at least they
exciting.
want, yeah, it is. At least they want to have it approved because they have to do the fundraising.
Sure.
Be prepared because we don't do second semester overnight approvals until January. It'd be too late for them to fundraise. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Questions? Good?
Good. I'm fine with that.
I'll bring that one forward.
Oh, the honors level English in junior year.
Yes.
That was something new. How is that going? Are you hearing any feedback on that?
I haven't heard feedback in terms of working, not working. It didn't really cost us on the AP end. We have about as many students in AP English. That was one of the concerns is if we put the honors back, then we're going to lose all the kids in AP. And that turned out not to be the case.
No. Okay. And you have sections at each school? How many sections at each school wound up with that?
Yep, let me grab my book. Bremen has one section of the Honors American Lit and 3 sections of AP American Lit. Tinley has 2 sections of Honors American Lit, 3 sections of AP American Lit. Hillcrest, 1 section of Honors, 2 sections of AP. And Oak Forest, 2 of Honors and 4 of AP.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these honors kids, I feel they would have just either went here and perhaps really struggled or went back down.
Right.
And not
potentially be
challenged
bored.
themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So good. I'm glad to see that it got soaked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I want under other, I just want to share with you the Evaluate software that we put into play for teacher evaluation. We did a summer training with our first year teachers. We've already run 2 full days of training. 2 days. We did 1 day at Bremen, open to the whole district. 1 day at Oak Forest, same thing. So we did 4 sessions during the day, and then 1 more session on the 13th, actually today, after school, and very positive feedback, not only from the teachers, but from the administrators. We did an administrator training before the start of school, and then supervisor meetings, AP meetings. I bring up
Are they saying
Evaluate.
how much time it's saving them?
Well, I know myself personally, I did an informal yesterday. I coded it within 30 minutes, and I don't have to transfer anything into the summative. It's already in there, all the evidence.
So how long was it taking you without the software?
It would take me about an hour to code, and then probably 2 to 3 hours just to spend time matching it to the framework. So the fact that the evidence automatically...
And now 30 minutes?
30 minutes to code, and then maybe 30 minutes to come up with my rating.
So a third. It's cut down to a third.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it also collates, if teachers are using the lesson plans that we uploaded, the lesson plans are also coded to the framework. So each box where they put the response, that evidence automatically goes into the summary. So then the observer just has to read all the evidence and come up with the rating based upon that. So I've heard a lot of positive feedback on both sides. People really like it. They realize it's new, and so we troubleshoot. We try to get to the answers right away. We've run into minor glitches, but that's to be expected with new software. But the tech support at EvaluWise is awesome. They get back to me right away, and things seem to be working smoothly. We had one observer who started last week and was scripting in the classroom on the Wi-Fi, and it kind of lagged a little bit at the end of the period. And I went to the tech support and said, okay, how do we work offline? She sent me the directions. I sent it out to the staff. The offline works beautifully. So we just take off the Wi-Fi. We can script. As soon as we log back on, all the evidence is there.
It syncs. Very nice.
Yeah. So it's working really, really nicely. Even though we said that it wasn't a mandatory on the teacher's end, a lot of teachers, they were hesitant. But then after going to their training, yep, we're using it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Why would you not?
Nice. And how about anything new with Apple for the iPad training for the teachers? You said that our rep was kind of not so great the first time around. Is anybody coming in to offer, new things for them to do with that?
Absolutely. So Patrick Beatles at Apple is our new contact, and we actually went over the summer and spent a day with them. We took a couple of our students from our Geek Squad up there and kind of regrouped and reframed, what we want to accomplish. Jim Boswell, who's our new instructional technology specialist, is taking the lead with the media specialist, and he's already put together a whole PD calendar with the media specialist. Each quarter they have a focus topic, if you will. This month it's communication. So how do we use technology to communicate with kids, communicate with parents, communicate with each other? And so they're setting up PD. We actually have a session next week about Google Communities, Google Plus, Google Tools. So they're doing lunch and learn. So it's full day, PD, 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then the media specialist will do lunch and learns. Hey, come down during your lunch period. We're going to follow up on Google Sites, Google Community. Yeah. You've had some time to practice. So each quarter there's specific PD related to technology.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And they all know that's available to help them with any frustrations they might be having.
Yep. Okay. And then speaking of, I just remembered, Jim also videotaped one of the EvaluWise trainings. So we're going to put it in GCN and come up with, so that's our way of delivering mandatory trainings like bloodborne pathogens. The teachers have to watch it. We'll put EvaluWise in there, so if somebody wasn't able to attend a training session, they could watch it in GCN. There's a little activity. Basically go into your account, upload an artifact so you know how to do that, and then you can get your hours for doing that. So we're trying to vary the way that we deliver PD, make sure everybody has options.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then Decision Ed is coming along?
Yep, we are in the final stages. We're uploading assessments right now. We're going to be putting together a meeting to talk about focus groups. Who do we want to start having access to it? What is it that we want to accomplish in the first year? Because we don't want to overwhelm people. We don't want to show them all 600 reports. Let's focus on what are some key things we want to get out of this year. Let's put some data teams in place, and then we'll start rolling out the training. My hope is by mid-October.
Okay.
The dashboards
are you using it at all?
I'm using it on the back end in terms of the validation.
Okay.
So making sure that what's getting pulled out of our data systems is accurate, so that when the users, they'll never see that side of it, but if you are users and you are pulling up data, you want to know that it's accurate. You don't want to have to think about, wow, is that discipline data really correct? You should just know it's correct.
Right. They shouldn't have to be going back and rechecking, because then what's the point of getting the software?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what Steve Klitscharch and I are doing right now, is making sure that it's valid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So we're just about there for the rollout. And then we're going to start with the student demographic information, the assessment data, and then we'll add iVisions and other things that is specific to only some people. Not everybody needs that piece, but we want to get more users in there right now, and then we'll add more along the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
Anything?
No.
Okay.
I'm glad to hear that EvaluWise is working out for the teachers. Yeah,
Yes.
that's very good.
Yes. 6:45.
Wow.
For 10 and a half.